Ray clicked on another tale about an unfaithful wife even though he knew he should be going to bed. Were these tales true? Could these acts really be done to a loved one? Ray's mind was gradually invaded by the stories, which sowed doubt and mistrust. He noticed that he was observing his wife Pamela more intently and examining each interaction and motion she made. He became irritated when she approached other men too closely when they were out dancing. He rummaged through laundry baskets, looking for evidence of treachery. At Sandy's sister's wedding, Ray met his wife. He had no idea that the couple being married was made up of swingers. After meeting right away, Ray and Pamela were married in less than a year. The following year was Kyle's arrival, and 2 years later was Kayla. They appeared to be the ideal small family. However, Ray and Pamela seldom ever saw each other because of their disparate work schedules. And then there were the crazy party animals, Sandy and her husband Bob, who were said to lead a swinging lifestyle. Particularly after witnessing him making out with Pamela during their own wedding reception, Ray had never been fond of Bob. Pamela and he had made up to never talk about previous relationships. Both of them were the envious kind. Ray was requested to mend Sandy's leaky kitchen sink by Pamela one day. "Yes, please allow me to have a look," Ray grinned in response. "Perhaps I could undertake some plumbing work while I'm at it." Pamela's gaze flickered. "Sir, don't even consider it. That's my sister you're talking about." Ray held up his hands in mock surrender. "Relax, I'm just kidding." But as he headed out the door, he couldn't help but wonder about Sandy and Bob's rumored exploits. Sandy had always been a shameless flirt, even with Ray. But he knew better than to risk his marriage over a fling with his sister-in-law. Didn't he? When Ray arrived at Sandy's house, she greeted him at the door wearing nothing but a flimsy bathrobe. "Come on in," she purred. "Coffee's on if you want some." Ray's mouth went dry. "Ah, thanks. I'll just take a look at that sink." In the kitchen, Ray bent down to examine the pipes under the sink. When he stood up, Sandy was right behind him, her robe hanging open. "What are you doing, Sandy?" Ray stammered, backing away. "What does it look like?" Sandy replied, advancing on him. "I want you, Ray. I always have." "Stop it. I'm just here to fix the sink." "This isn't right." Sandy's eyes narrowed. "Will you or won't you sleep with me?" "No, without a doubt, no. For the love of Christ, Pamela is your sister. I cherish her." "All right," Sandy spit. "Give it what you want. I will, however, inform Pamela that you attempted to push yourself on me if you do not give in to my demands. You think she'll believe?" "Whom?" Ray ran out of the home. When he tried to phone Pamela, there was no response. That evening at work, he was unable to concentrate due to Sandy's warning and the potential consequences for his marriage. The following morning, Sandy's car was still in the driveway when Ray arrived home. He went inside and saw Pamela looking terrified and obviously inebriated, Bob frantically pulling up his pants, and Sandy smirking from the couch. How in the world is this happening? Ray gave a yell. His hands flew as he pushed for Bob. In the ensuing pandemonium, Ray was struck from behind by someone. All went dark. Ray awoke in the hospital, his headache hammering. Ray was told by a policeman standing by his bed that he had suffered a concussion after being struck by a vase. It seemed that Ray's charges had been withdrawn. Bob said he was acting in self-defense, and that Ray had attacked him when he got home angry. Pamela could only recall Ray's ranting. Ray had not anticipated such a disarray when he had left for Sandy's place that morning. "I have nothing to say," Ray told the officer. "You're lucky, Mr. Harper," the cop replied. "No charges filed, but I suggest you think long and hard about your actions." After the officer left, Ray's head throbbed. Both from the injury and from trying to make sense of what had happened. He couldn't live with a cheater, but he needed answers. He called his sister Amy to come pick him up. Just then his phone rang. It was Pamela. "Do you want me to come get you? We need to talk now that we're even." Ray's blood boiled. "Even so? You shared a bed with Bob. I'm being picked up by Amy. I'll pack up and head out." "Go." Pamela burst into tears. "Ray, all I wanted to do was get revenge on you for Sandy." Ray confronted Pamela at home. Pamela said accusingly, "Sandy told me you forced yourself on her." Ray hit back, calling that a lie. "She approached me and threatened to tell a lie if I didn't go to bed with her. I took off right away." Anger and hurt flashed in Pamela's eyes. "Why should I trust you? How come my own sister would make that up?" Ray cried. "Because she's jealous. Being swingers, she and Bob tried to involve you. I believe that our marriage is finished because you let Bob have you." Pamela argued, "No, I just did it to get even." Sandy was aware of specifics of the exchange between you two. A look of disgust contorted Ray's face. "All your sister is a whore. In high school, I shared a bed with her, as did half the boys in the community. But that was before I even got to know you. Years ago." Tears filled Pamela's eyes. "I'm not sure what to believe these days." "Bob isn't the only person involved," Ray stated icily. "It all comes down to trust. I mean, if Sandy had been raped by me, why hadn't she called the police?" "Pamela, be honest with yourself. You took use of me to justify your desire for Bob. No, Pamela whimpered. I love you, Ray. Ray snorted. Love doesn't mean sleeping with other people on Monday. I'm going to file for divorce. This isn't how it was meant to work. Wait. Ray packed a suitcase, ignoring her cries. Tell the children anything you want. I don't want to talk to you or see you. Amy is able to set up meetings with Kayla and Kyle. In the weeks that followed, Ray's attempts to restart his life were a haze of cheap motels and overtime shifts. He filed for divorce after meeting with an attorney. Ray once brought a sick Kyle home from school. The phone rang when they were at the house gathering some of Kyle's belongings. Sandy was the one. Ray recorded Sandy's admission that she had lied about the attack and exposed Bob's role in the entire plan by pressing the record button on his cell phone. Ray's phone blew up with texts and calls from Pamela after he and Kyle left, apologizing profusely and pleading for forgiveness. It was too late for Ray, too. His trust had been permanently broken by her propensity to think the worst about him and to end their marriage so quickly. Ray signed the divorce papers with a sad heart on the day it was to be finalized. Then he went to a bar nearby to drink away his sorrows. He happened to glance across the room and see Bob. All of the previous month's hurt and rage suddenly returned. Ray lost control of his anger and battered Bob until he was a crumpled wreck on the ground. I hope you rot in hell, you son of a bitch, Ray shouted as three guys yanked him off Bob. He thrashed wildly as they dragged him outside, where police officers slammed him to the ground and cuffed him. This time there would be no drop charges. Ray was headed to prison, with his one phone call. Ray contacted Amy. I really screwed up this time, sis, he said wearily. Don't bother with bail. I'm just going to do my time. He could hear Amy crying as he hung up the phone. Over. The next 2 months, Pamela tried repeatedly to visit Ray in jail, but he refused to see her. When his court date arrived, Ray pled guilty to assault charges. The judge sentenced him to 2 years, minus time served. Ray, Pamela still loves you, Amy insisted when she visited. Her whole family is furious about Sandy's lies, and Pamela never signed the final divorce papers. You're going to jail a married man. The first 2 months were a constant struggle, landing him in the infirmary twice as he fought to prove himself. His cellmate was a lifer nicknamed Killer, rumored to have stabbed his cheating wife and her lover 80 times. He'd even killed another inmate the previous year. But eventually things settled into a tense routine. Killer even started talking to Ray, sharing stories about his own fall from grace. On Visitor's Day, Ray was shocked to see Pamela waiting for him. What are you doing here? Ray, I love you, Pamela sobbed, sliding photos of the kids across the table. Even though I messed up horribly, I'll wait for you. If you are still in love with me, we can overcome this. Ray just stood up and left, leaving Pamela sobbing at the visitor's window. Ray heard other prisoners discussing a plan to assault Killer that evening. Ray felt obligated to alert his cellmate despite his fear of being called a snitch. Killer gave Ray a distrustful look but moved cautiously. The following day, Killer tricked his potential assailant. He had stowed books beneath his shirt to divert the homemade blade. The attacker was surrounded by Killer's team, who gave him a brutal thrashing until security arrived. Killer ate his food with composure, as if nothing had happened. Following that encounter, Ray and Killer became unexpected friends. Killer displayed a more vulnerable side in the seclusion of their cell, inquiring about the children and Pamela. With a melancholy voice, he talked of his own grown children, all of whom lived abroad except for his youngest daughter Anna. Killer revealed, she knows her mother was the one who destroyed our family. I won't allow her to come visit. But she writes to me every week. This place is unsafe. When Killer talked about Anna's promising legal profession, his face lit up with pride. Ray then talked candidly about his mixed emotions toward Pamela and Sandy's betrayal. Are you still in love with her? Killer asked bluntly. Ray sighed. Yeah, I do, but I hate what she did to our family. Does she still love you? She says she does. But I don't know if I can ever forgive her. Killer fixed Ray with a piercing stare. Why the hell not? Look around you, kid. You've hit rock bottom. If a woman loved me enough to wait for me in a place like this, I'd be the happiest man alive. But what about the mistrust? The infidelity? Killer barked out a harsh laugh. Hell, you killed for the same damn reason I did. Take it from me, don't hold on to grudges. It'll kill you slowly from the inside out. Killer's words stuck with Ray, forcing him to examine his own heart. What would he do? When he got out? No job, no future, no family. The prospect was terrifying. A month later, Pamela visited again. The kids miss you so much, she replied. Is there a possibility that our family may reunite? I'll exert all necessary effort. Ray paused. Pamela, I want to forgive you. However, every time I close my eyes, Bob and you are there. Pamela stated. I hated every second of it. I was sick to my stomach the moment I saw your face that evening. If only I could take it all back. Ray felt his determination faltering. However, after a few weeks, Amy came by with some unsettling news, she reported yesterday. I drove by the house Sandy and Bob's automobiles were parked in the driveway. Anger and confusion battled in Ray's head. Had Pamela been deceiving him all along? At this point, Killer mentioned his prior legal skills in an attempt to assist Ray with his parole hearing. Ray chose to believe the elder man, even though he was hesitant since he respected him. Ray was questioned by the parole board about how he had adapted to prison life and about his plans for housing and work after his release. In his most sincere response, Ray mentioned his sister's offer of a place to stay and the readiness of his previous company to take him back on. How likely do you believe you are to go back to prison? Ray pledged, I never want to see the inside of these walls again, to a sharp question from a board member. Killer inquired about Ray's hearing experience as he made his way back to his cell. Ray shrugged, unsure of what lay ahead for him. Ray answered, I told them what you suggested. Did you actually pull strings to let me leave early? Killer laughed. Kid, you never know. However, I'll be anticipating your weekly pack of smokes on my commissary account if you do manage to get sprung ahead of schedule. Pamela made another appearance a few days later. She replied, trembling, that someone from the parole board had stopped by the house. When will you be leaving? What was it they desired? Ray applied pressure. What information did you give them? Pamela said, just checking if you could live there, and how we're settling in. I informed them that although we are apart, I really wish you were back at home. Ray narrowed his eyes. I heard that you had broken up with Sandy. Is that accurate? Pamela shuffled in her seat. Ray, she's still my sister. She's not someone I see often, but what about Bob? Ray interrupted her. Seen him recently. Why are you posing these queries to me? 'Cause I can't trust a damn word out of your mouth, Ray snapped. You swore you were done with Sandy, but she and Bob were at the house. Did something happen with Bob again? Is that why you're so worried about me getting paroled? It's not like that, Ray. I can explain. Save it, Ray snarled. Tell your damn lover that when I get out, I'm gonna finish what I started that night at the bar. And if you're fooling around behind my back again, I'll deal with you too. Pamela fled from the visitor's room in tears. Ray's suspicions had been confirmed. He was headed right back into the same mess that had landed him in prison to begin with. He didn't really want to kill anyone, but he'd be damned if he didn't scare them good and proper. That night, Ray called his sister Amy and asked her to visit as soon as possible. When she arrived the next day, he spilled everything about his conversation with Pamela. Amy sighed. Oh, Ray, I'm so sorry. I had no idea things were still so complicated with Pamela. Ray nodded. Grimly. I need to know what's really going on. Can you keep an eye on the house, see who's coming and going? Of course, Amy assured him. I'll do whatever I can to help. As Amy was leaving, she paused. By the way, the parole board contacted me too. They wanted to know if you could stay with us if you get out early. Ray's eyebrows shot up. What did you tell them? That you're always welcome, of course. Penny's on board too. Thanks, sis. I don't know what I'd do without you. Oh, and they also called Mr. Parker about your old job, Amy added. Really? What did he say? Amy smiled. He said you can have your old position back, said you were one of his best workers. For the first time in months, Ray felt a glimmer of hope. I appreciate everything, Amy. I just pray I don't get rejected. You won't, Amy said confidently. You'll probably be out by next month, they informed me, with accommodation and a job set up. Ray gave his sister a farewell embrace while tears filled his eyes. Ray received the call 1 week later. Just as Amy had predicted. Next week he was going to be freed. Oddly, he was sent to see a lawyer instead of a parole officer. Had set up his early discharge. Ray promised to deliver those cigarettes every week and thanked Killer warmly as he packed his limited stuff. Even though he wasn't sure if the elderly man had truly pulled any strings, the gesture seemed worthwhile. Amy was waiting with tears in her eyes when Ray pulled up to the jail gates. Before leaving for her place, they gave each other a firm hug. Kenny gave Ray a hearty greeting. What happens next? As they settled into the living area, Amy questioned. I think I should give Pamela a call and make plans to see the kids. I promise I won't cause any trouble when Ray called. Pamela agreed to let him visit but warned she'd call the cops at the first sign of trouble. Ray assured her he just wanted to see his children. The reunion with Kyle and Kayla was emotional, the kids running to Ray screaming, Daddy, Daddy, you're back. He hugged them tightly, marveling at how much they'd grown. On the porch afterward, things were tense between Ray and Pamela. What do you want? Ray, she asked warily. We are no longer a family. I'm attempting to move on from my past. Ray stated firmly, these are my kids too. Pamela, I wish to participate in their lives. You lied to me once more just when I thought I could forgive you. Pamela's eyes blazed as she ran back to Bob and Sandy. You were incarcerated, Ray. I felt alone myself. Ray interrupted, saying, "Save it. I am aware that you have been sharing sleeps. Who you're screwing now doesn't matter to me. But I'll take my kids away from you if they're exposed to such disgusting lifestyle. It's not a meaningless threat, either. Ray, I would never intentionally harm my kids. Yes, you've already ruined our family with your damn Bob. I'm making sure my children avoid such kinds of people. I'm meeting with my attorney tomorrow to discuss my parental rights." Pamela's expression twisted. "Ray, please. It isn't what you believe." But Ray was on his way out already. He had concluded. His current priorities were to turn his life around and support his kids. Ray went to the legal offices the following day, as they had arranged for his release. "I'm meeting with Mr. A.J. Brady," he said to the front desk clerk. She grinned. "Miss Brady will be over soon." Ray scowled in perplexity. Without a doubt, the card said AJ. After a few minutes, a gorgeous woman walked up in a sharp blue suit. "Mr. Harper?" She reached out and introduced herself as AJ Brady. "Kindly visit my office so that we can talk about your circumstances." Trapped, Ray followed her. After taking a seat, AJ said, "I was asked to review your case by a mutual friend. Your prior attorney severely failed you. Significant extenuating circumstances existed, but they weren't adequately taken into account." "Why me? Who gave you the job?" AJ's eyes were beaming with passion. "Dave, my dad. He may be more familiar to you as Killer." Ray was astounded. "Are you Anna? Which daughter is his favorite?" She grinned. "Angeline Juanita Brady available for assistance. Let's now talk about your situation over lunch." AJ informed Ray about his parole officer and the conditions while they dined at a calm restaurant. Ray made an attempt to get to know her better, but she politely redirected. "Ray, talking about my personal life with a customer would not be proper." Ray blurted, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." AJ reddened. "Those dimples when you smile, you know I don't date clients, Ray. However, I'm grateful. Let's return to your case now." Ray pressed, "At least tell me about your legal background. Don't I have a right to know as your client?" She suppressed a smile. "Okay, no problem. Complete scholarship for a law degree. I've spent years honing my criminal law specialty." After they finished their lunch, Ray became utterly enthralled with Anna. "Shall I run into you again?" As they got ready to leave, he asked in hopes. She said, "Next week to go over some parole paperwork if you'd like. We can have lunch again. This time, my treat." "Sounds fantastic," Ray smiled. "Recall that this is just business," Anna firmly stated. Even yet, she was unable to contain her smile. Ray held her hand for far too long as they said their goodbyes back at her workplace. He hoped she didn't believe he was some strange former con man. He told her how much he was looking forward to next week as he was leaving. Ray was given a knowing smile by Anna's secretary as he left. Anna was not like most lawyers he imagined. Ray had their scheduled meeting with Anna for the next 2 Mondays. She made an effort to act entirely professionally. However, Ray felt a deepening bond between them. Anna told Ray that their business was over a week later. "So you're no longer my attorney?" "Naturally I am. Always give me a call if you need me." "If so, Anna, you're getting fired. How come?" "Considering all I've done for you thus far, even at no cost." "Yes," Ray gave a nod. "I want to go on a real date with you, but you don't date customers. Dinner, dancing, the whole 9 yards. Even though I work in a factory and am an ex-con, I still want to get to know you. I believe you also desire that." "Ray, though I am drawn to you, what will others think? Who gives a damn what people think? Give me a single date. For once, listen to your heart." Anna let out a sigh. "God, I really shouldn't, but all right. Just one date. Furthermore, you dare not hope to spend the night with me." On that Saturday, after borrowing his sister's vehicle, Ray went to Anna's apartment to pick her up. She was gorgeous in a short black dress. Ray inquired about Anna's past at a formal dinner and wine. She explained, "My parents divorced when I was 14. Dad has spent the last 14 years behind bars. I was reared by different families, as did my siblings. They are still unable to accept their father's actions. It was me who informed him of his mother's infidelity. There are moments when I wish I had just said nothing." Ray added gently, "You're not accountable for your father's behavior, Anna. When you were a child, you just wanted to do the right thing." With a nod, Anna fought back tears. "I was motivated to become a lawyer when my dad was sentenced to prison. I reasoned that perhaps I could assist in reducing his sentence. I chose criminal law for this reason. It seems that there wasn't much leeway in his situation. In his earlier years, he was a quite skilled attorney as well. Even though I was powerless to help him with his case, he consistently expressed his pride in me for having followed in his footsteps." "Have you previously been married? Or is that also forbidden?" Anna grinned. "Both. It was quick, and you shouldn't be concerned about it." Ray, is there another time we can do the heavier stuff? I'm having fun this evening. Would you like to dance? Ray said. I've got 2 left feet, however. I'll use any justification to keep you near. Ray inhaled deeply, daring to plant a kiss on Anna's hair while they moved to a few of slow tunes. I don't date much, admitted Anna to Ray. I'm cautious about most men because of my social network. I doubt I would be here now if your dad hadn't sent you my way. Ray quipped, remind me to send him an extra pack of smokes. You're the best thing that has happened to me in a long time, Anna. I'll go above and beyond to gain your confidence. Just say the word if I ever walk out of bounds. That evening, as they kissed at her door, Ray left Anna gaping in shock. She took a closer look at him. Is it okay for me to enter? Ray, not tonight? Too soon, really. Give me a call on Thursday, sometime next Saturday. Ray departed a very content guy. These 2 Saturdays were also their meetings. Anna started talking more. One night she stated, Ray, you should know more about my past if we're going to keep seeing each other while I was in college. I got married. Became pregnant and hurried to marry. We were far too young. After I miscarried, we quickly got divorced. I choose to keep my last name Brady in order to avoid being associated with my father, Miller. Would you like to attend our family cookout on Saturday next week, Anna? He inquired. Meet the children and my sister. Knowing it was a significant step, Anna hesitated. Then she gave Ray her first, long kiss. Ray, okay? She grinned. Include me. What am I able to contribute? Every weekend, Ray continued to see his children. They informed him that their mother was seeing Pat, a teacher. At first, Ray was apprehensive, but the children appeared to enjoy Pat and his small daughter. Pamela responded, I'm really trying to turn my life around, when Ray questioned her about it. Pat is a decent man. He respects that you are their parent and is well informed about you. Ray gave a nod. Your lies have devastated us. Pamela. Tell this man the truth if you truly care about him. Avoid making the same mistakes you did with us. About a mile away from Pamela and the children, Ray discovered a tiny apartment. The kids could spend the weekends there because it had 2 bedrooms. He continued to frequently drop in on Amy to see the family and have dinners. Ray turned to Anna while he was making French toast one morning. Are you going to marry me? Her eyes filled with tears. What's not right? She said. I'm just thinking about my dad. I'm not going to let him lead me down the aisle. A few days later, Ray was no longer smiling when he saw Anna crying at work. What's not right? Worried, he inquired. Carefully, she added, I called the prison. My dad is unable to go to our wedding. That's what his life sentence entails. It's not under my control. Ray responded, I'm sorry, Anna ripping her clothes off while she sobbed. Her father had barely months to live because his cancer had resurfaced. Ray wondered why life was treating this kind guy so cruelly and felt helpless. Ray admitted to Anna, I've been buying your dad cigarettes. That was our agreement. Ray, it's all right. He exchanges them for different goods. She told him that you weren't the cause of this. Ray thought of something, but said nothing to avoid giving people false optimism. He left Anna and headed straight to the prison, intending to talk to the warden and Killer. Killer saw Ray and smiled. Son, look after my girl. She is worthy of more than an elderly charlatan like myself. Ray presented his idea. Though he was hesitant, Killer consented if Ray could persuade the warden. The warden wasn't convinced. Just so her father can attend, do you want to get married while incarcerated? Ray said, yes, sir. It's been 14 years since she last saw him. He's running out of time. The chapel will only be needed for 1 hour. The warden gave in and imposed stringent guidelines. Ray hurried back to inform Killer, who had provided him with Anna's bank account details. Ray announced the news to Anna at her office. What if you were married while incarcerated? Her happy tears told it all. Ray, God, you are loved. When they went to the bank, Anna went to a safe deposit box. Her mother's engagement ring, bonds to cover the cost of the wedding, and a letter from her father were all inside. It was a moment of mixed emotions.